How's everybody doing today? I certainly hope you're doing well. It's time for another edition of Story Time. So whether you get your beer, your pop, your wine, soda, whatever it is that you do, you might want to go ahead and have a seat, and here we go. It's going to be a long-winded video. As usual, I like to tell people whether or not it's a true story or not. It is not a true story. It is a story in which I've created. It is going to be a long-winder, so if you're not into long-winded videos, you know what to do. The name of this story is called Portal Potty. It's a real magical one too, so let's go ahead and begin. You see, there was this gentleman by the name of Jake, and he was married to Betty, and Betty and Jake, they'd been married damn near 30 years, and they were able to raise 3 children, and I tell you what, Jake made pretty good money. He was into sales, and, well, Betty, she was just a homemaker. You know, you could always catch her making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, tucking in the kids, and, oh, I don't know, let's say taking care of Jake whenever he needed that sort of attention, you know. So, it was a Thursday afternoon about 3 o'clock, and Jake gets a phone call. He looks over on the caller ID. He doesn't recognize the name or the number, but it was just one of those days where he just decided to go ahead and answer it. Hello, this is Jake. Can I help you? And on the other end of the phone was an attorney by the name of Bob out of the state of Washington. He says, yeah, can I help you? And he says, well, you know, Jake, I hate to break the news to you here, but, and he said it so nonchalantly, too. He said, but I just wanted to let you know that your father is no longer with us. And, of course, Jake was taken back. He wasn't expecting that. Oh, no. You see, Jake was the only child. Jake's mother had died, and, well, he didn't have any siblings, and he was the only person left as far as it came to his family. And now he is the only person left because now his father has died. But you see, what bothered Jake about that is that this attorney that calls him out of the blue on a Thursday afternoon is telling him that his father had died, but he's saying it so nonchalantly. And that kind of bothered Jake. So, the attorney went on to say that, I know it's maybe very traumatic that your father had just died and me breaking the news to you about this. And of course Jake says, well, when did this happen? Well, it happened yesterday morning, but, you know, the authorities didn't figure it all out until this morning. And you were on the call list, of course, because you are his only son. And I know that this may not be the time to really talk about it, but you are the sole heir to all of his belongings, his property, and his business. And again, Jake wasn't really happy because the attorney just made it sound so nonchalant, you know. Well, you see, Jake's father, his name was Ike. That's a very old school name. And Ike had ran a business for over 15 years that dealt with porta potties. Well, Jake doesn't know anything about porta potties. Hell, Jake's retired by now. Him and Betty have been traveling all over the world. Kids are out of the house. They're living life, living it pretty good. So he doesn't know what to do about porta potties. Best thing you can do, I guess, is go over there, sell the company, reap the rewards, and off you go. But oh no, he couldn't do that. No, because you see, the attorney on the phone told him. Now, Jake, you know your father. You know him really well, and from what I understand, according to him, he talked very highly of you, and you knew that Ike was a very principle-minded man. Now, I know that you have to bury your father, and I don't mean to sound so nonchalant about this, but I have a very specific list on what you're to do. And I want to read this list to you. Would that be all right? Jake is still kind of shook up. He is. Because after all, that's his father. You only get one father, one mother. Is that correct? Unless, of course, you got a stepfather and stepmother. He's like, yeah, go ahead. He said, first of all, under Ike's conditions, he's going to hand over his Portal Potty business to you, and you cannot sell it for 1 year, no matter what. You cannot fire anyone for 1 year, unless it's something atrocious like theft or something like that. And those are the conditions. Now, as far as his house goes, you can sell that. As far as his property goes, you can sell that. But you cannot touch that business, do you understand? Of course, Jake knew his dad really well, and he knew he was principle-minded. And if those were the requests from his now deceased father, how could he break them? Well, he couldn't, and he's not gonna. Because that's just bad juju there, right? So Jake knows that he's got to get Betty. They both have to get their happy asses on plane and fly out to Washington State. And that's what they did. They went ahead and buried Ike. And it was a very private funeral. There was only him and Betty, his wife, and maybe just a few very close friends, maybe the neighbors of Ike and such. Nobody at the work. Nobody at the work even knew that he was deceased. So, after all of the burial and the funeral and all the stuff that goes along with it, he got another phone call from Bob, the attorney, Ike's attorney, his father's attorney. And Ike said to Jake, Jake, I need you to come into the office and we need to lay out and hash out all the particulars when it comes to the property and the house and the business and all this stuff. So Jake went to go meet with Bob at his office, and he's laying out all the rules, the regulation, the taxes, all this stuff. Well, you see, Jake had an attorney himself, and he also had an accountant in Texas. So he decided that he was going to import temporarily his accountant from Texas to do the books when it came to the Porta Potty business, to see maybe if he could make it better, is it secure, what's going on. So within a couple of days, Jake's accountant has looked over the books, and he notifies Jake. He's like, Jake, this business is doing great. After everyone's paid, after payroll, after all of the maintenance and transportation and fuel and insurance and taxes and everything, after everything's paid, Jake, oh my God, this business is making $930,000 a year. Jake is flabbergasted. He can't believe it. He's like, oh my goodness. So how could he get rid of a company like that? And you see, Jake was in sales. So Jake figured, well, hell, let's make it $1 million. Shouldn't be that hard. That's what Jake did all his life, was sales. So he decided, you know something? He needs to get down to this shop, to the Porta Potty company, and he has to have a meeting with all of the employees. There were 27 employees at that company. It wasn't a big company. It wasn't a small company. It was a good-sized company. But after all, after everything was already paid for, $930,000 profit is not too bad. But he'd been in business for 15 years. They had all kinds of different accounts. They had it with a stadium. Then they had it with the arts district. And then they had it with all these construction firms. And construction firms that were even out of state. Oh, they were doing good, let me tell you. So he called a meeting on Friday morning, 8 o'clock, because that's when all the employees got there at the Porta Potty shop, right? So he brings everybody into the warehouse. And he stands up and he says, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jake. And I'm sorry to tell you, but Ike has passed away. And all these employees they're shocked. They can't believe it. They're like, what are you talking about? I just saw him a few weeks ago. I mean, what's going on here? He's like, well, he slips down some stairs there, and he did a little fall, I mean, after all, he was 89 years of age. He lived a great life. But I'm here to tell you, as his son, and knowing how principle-minded Ike was, I'm here to tell you that I am not going to sell the company. Nobody here is going to get laid off. Nobody here is going to get fired. And on the contrary, every single person between the accountant of this porta potty business, the manager, the laborers, transportation, all you people right here are going to get a $2 an hour raise starting today. And everybody's like, woohoo! They're all laughing, carrying on, yay! I mean, they just can't believe it. I mean, who does that? Nobody does that. Well, Jake did that, and the reason why he did it, and the reason why he gave everybody, regardless of their position, a $2 an hour raise, is because he wanted to learn the business that he knew nothing about. So he stated to everybody, it is going to be your job, it is going to be your duty to teach me about something I know nothing about. And that $2 an hour raise is your incentive to do it. Will you do it? Oh, everybody's, oh yeah, they're all in agreement. He's like, you know something, I need to talk to the managers. And everybody's like, well, there's not managers, there's a manager, but there's not managers. There's only one. Well, you see, that gentleman's name was Bill. Seeing that Jake is just the way he is, he likes to give people nicknames and such. So he didn't call Bill Bill, and he didn't call Bill William, he called Bill Billy. He just felt comfortable with it. Well, hell, Bill was okay with it, right? He's like, Billy, I want you to be in my office in 5 minutes. So Billy goes into Jake's office there. Jake's sitting at Ike, his father's desk, and that. And he had got a big old roll top, too. Big one. Made of real oak. Not the particle board that you buy at, you know, some sort of furniture warehouse somewhere. Oh, no, it was real oak. Big one, too. So he sits down and he says, now, Billy, what I need you to do, I tell you what, seeing that this is my first day here, you're going to be my right-hand man. Oh, Billy, he's just happy as can be. First of all, you got a $2 raise for doing nothing. And he's going to teach Jake everything about that business, the ins, the outs, everything, right? So Jake decided, okay, now, Billy, listen, we're going to get out with a clipboard. We're going to go out into the yard, and we're going to do an inventory. And any of the porta potties that even look a little bit ragged or a little bit, you know, out of shape and that, we're going to get rid of them, and we're going to buy new product. What do you think? He's like, oh, yes, sir, right away. They get a clipboard out there. They're walking around the yard, and Jake's looking at it. He's like, you know what? That one's there. Look at the bottom. It's a little bit ratty. Get rid of that one. Give me a new one. He's like, okay, 72116. Discard, get a new one. He's writing this stuff down. He's like, all right, that one there, it looks like the roof is, something's wrong with it. You know what? Just get rid of that one, get a new one. Okay, well, let's see, 12774. Get rid of that one, get a new one. He just writing all this stuff down. So he asked Billy, he's like, Billy, let me ask you a question. If all of the porta potties throughout the surrounding states and that are out right now, if all of them were in the yard right now, how many would there be? Billy's like, oh, hell, there'd be 119 of them. He goes, well, how many porta potties are here now? Just a guess. He goes, no, I don't, it's not a guess. I know exactly how many are here. There's 35. He goes, really, there's 36, but only 35 would be operational. He goes, what do you mean? Is there one that's bad? He goes, well, you see that one over there on the left-hand side of the yard? The one that is up on railroad ties? Nobody can get into that one. It's got a big old padlock on it. And only Ike had the key for that. He goes, really? He goes, do you have the key? Do you have the copy of a key to that? He goes, no, sir, I don't. And you know what? Ike told everybody nobody's allowed to touch that porta potty over there. Nobody. You can't move it with a forklift. You can't touch it. You can't try to get in. Nobody did, ever. And it's been sitting there, hell, for over 10 years. Jake is like, Billy, do me a favor. If you don't have a key to that, and only Ike had a key to that, Well, Ike's no longer with us, and I haven't really gone through his household belongings and all that stuff. I ain't got time for it. Do me a favor, Billy. I need you to get a locksmith out here. We'll drill that out and replace the lock, and we'll put it in use. And why is it up on railroad ties? Billy's like, you know what? I don't even know. All I know is it's been there about 10 years, and nobody is allowed to touch it. And nobody did. And I don't even know why. You don't question the boss, right? He's like, well, get me a locksmith out here right away. Oh, yes, sir. Billy goes in there. He calls up locksmith. About a half an hour later, locksmith shows up. He's got a van, tools, all that stuff. Jake meets with the locksmith, and he says, now, you see that porta potty over there? It's got that lock on it. I want you to drill. Just, you know what I mean? Get that lock off there. Sell me a new lock, and give me 2 keys. I need one for me and one for Billy. He's my right-hand man. Oh, yes, sir, right away. So Jake goes back into the office, and about 15 minutes later, well, locksmith comes into his office, knocks on his door. Excuse me, sir, there's a slight problem. Jake goes, what do you mean there's a problem? What kind of problem? Did you get it open? He goes, well, no, sir, I didn't, and you know what? You need to see this for yourself. You just aren't going to believe it. So Jake's a little bit perturbed because he can't stand it when a grown man sits there and tell him there's a problem. He can't tell him, he's got to show him. You know, almost like immature almost. Jake kind of gets up. He didn't want to be rude because he's kind of old school. He goes out there. He goes, okay, now what do I need to see? So here you have the locksmith. He takes a cordless drill. He takes out the old battery. He puts in a new battery. And he says, this is a brand new battery in this cordless drill. He can hear that it's brand new battery. He goes, sir, this is a bit. I've done this hundreds of thousands of times over 10 years because I've been a locksmith for that long. And you're just not going to believe this. He puts in this bit that will drill through steel like it's nothing, right? He grabs a lock and he goes, and it turns this bit into mush. Doesn't even affect the lock itself. His drill bit looked like melted solder. Truly. Jake is like, wow, that's impressive. Jake turns over to the locksmith and he goes, do you got a bandsaw? We'll just cut off the latch of the lock and we'll get in there. He goes, oh, yes, sir, I do, but you know what? It's not cordless. He goes, oh, Billy, go get some extension cords, bring them out here. You got enough to do? Oh, yes, sir, right away. They put up these extension cords. He gets out that bandsaw. He's going to cut off the latch of the lock to get in there, right? He takes that and it just breaks the damn thing. Jake's getting kind of pissed off, and so is the locksmith. Jake said to the locksmith, hand me that hammer. Oh, it's a big old clunker, too. You know, it's kind of like a sledgehammer, but a hammer, but not really a sledgehammer, but with a shorter handle. You know what I'm talking about? He just clowning it like this. Locksmith said, hold on a second, Jake. Now stop that. Maybe I can dismantle what the lock is affixed to. So he starts looking at that, but he can't do that because it's on with rivets. He's like, okay, listen, I tell you what. Jake says to the locksmith, just write me a bill what I owe you. I really appreciate you trying. I apologize that it happened to you a bit. I'll pay for it. Your bandsaw was broken, all that stuff. He goes, just write me up a bill and I'll figure something else out. So Jake is kind of scratching his head. He's thinking, well, damn, it just made that drill bit into mush and it broke that bandsaw and the hammer wouldn't tie. He goes, man, what the heck is going on here? So then he got an idea. Well, hell, Bob, he needs to call up Bob. Bob was his attorney. Bob knows everything. Bob knows all the finances. Bob knows all the taxes. He knows all the laws and regulations. Maybe Bob has the key. He calls him up and he says, hey, Bob, this is Jake, Ike's. Oh, I know who you are. He goes, hey, listen, there's a porta potty over here and it's got some sort of lock on it. We can't get it off. I was wondering if you got the keys for that. He goes, you know what? I sure do. He goes, I am so sorry I spaced that out. It's just there was so much going on. And matter of fact, there's a bunch of keys on this. And please come over here and get it. Oh, boy, Jake, he's just tickled pink. He's like, oh, right, he's going to get a key, right? So he goes over to Bob's office and he gets this key ring. There's got to be 150 keys on here. He's thinking, my goodness, why are all these keys on here? Do you know which one is for the porta potty? He's like, I don't know which one. He just said that, he wanted me to have his keys in the case something were to happen, right? Which something did. So Jake gets the ring of keys. He brings it back to the porta potty business. And he's going through all the keys. He's doing this. And that won't work. He's doing this. He's about 75 deep into the ring of keys. Sticks it. Oh, it's got it. He unlocks it. Billy! Billy comes running out. He's now, Billy, I got the key for this specific lock. It's open. I don't want to be standing by myself in case there's something in there. So I want you to be right by my side so we can see what's in there. Oh, yes, sir, right away. He opens that, he unlatches it, he pulls that lock out of there, and he goes to open the door, and he peeks in a little bit. Looks pretty good. He opens the door all the way. There's nothing in there. He looks over to the right-hand side. There's some toilet paper in there. It looked like it'd been in there a long time. They go in there, and they start smelling. Smells okay. It smells damn near brand new. He starts looking up at the ceiling areas. And he starts looking at all the walls and seeing if there's any damage to it. It's pretty good shape. And then on the right-hand side of the porta potty, about chest level, there's some writing on the wall. But it's not kind of like the nasty writing. You know how we have all seen the porta potties with all those creative little, limericks on there. No, it's nothing like that. It's just like 2 words, but it's faint and it's backwards. Strange. But you see, Jake didn't have his glasses there, so he's like, Billy, do me a favor. What the hell does that say? Billy gets inside there and he's looking at the wall and he's like, wow, that's strange. It looks like it says Portal Potty. He goes, Portal Potty? Like portal? And they all start laughing. They're like, oh, that's the darndest thing you ever heard. But you got Portal Potty. What the hell does that mean? So they decided, you know what? They're going to lift up the lid there, see if anything's in there, see if that's okay. Smells okay in there. Lift up the lid and he can see the frickin' dirt. He's like, now hold on a second. Why would this porta potty not have a bottom there, a bottom enclosure for the stool? That don't make a lick of sense. Billy, what's going on with this? He goes, man, I don't know. Maybe that's why I didn't want anybody in there, is because it was damaged like this, or it was, defective. He goes, okay, I tell you what you're going to do. Billy, I want you to have a key. So get your ass over there to Ace Hardware or Lowe's or one of them. Go buy a lock. Get 2 keys made. Okay? If whatever they sell, they're going to have a key. If there's only 1 key, make sure you get 2 keys. He goes, and while you're at it, get a spare key for this lock. In other words, one they took off. Yes, sir. So Billy runs off and he's doing his thing, trying to get keys and take care of all that stuff. Jake is looking at this porta potty. It's brand new condition. It smells great. There's no damage on the inside. He just doesn't understand it. He's kind of stumped. Goes back to his office and he starts looking around. And I tell you what, this roll top desk is huge, boy. Yeah, it's a big one. And like I said before, it's made of solid oak. There's none of this particle board crap going on, So about a half an hour later, old Billy comes in. He goes, okay, sir, here's a spare key for the original lock. Here's the new lock with 2 keys. All right. So Jake has the original key that he got from Bob, which is the attorney of Ike. All right. And he takes the spare key that Billy got at one of the hardware stores, and he lines them up, makes sure they're exactly right, and he gives Billy the spare key. He also gives Billy a spare key from the new lock, right? So just out of curiosity, he decides, you know what? Let's go ahead and test the spare key that you made for the old lock. Just make sure it works, right? He goes to put it in, won't work. He's like, now what the hell is going on? He lines up these keys again, and they're exactly perfect. Why isn't it working? You know, that's infuriating too. That's happened to me. Okay? So he takes the key and he tries to put it, it won't go in there. He goes, you know what? I'm going to hang on to the master key. Alright? But you see, I saw this coming. So that's why I had you buy a new lock. We'll just replace that lock. So he tries to pull off the lock itself. Okay? He gets that off and he tries to put the other lock in. It won't go in. It's not going in. But why is it not going in? Because the latch of the lock, the new lock that Billy bought, is too thick for the hole to be going in there. It's becoming a headache is what it's becoming. So Jake decided to put back on the old lock and lock it up. He also told Billy nobody is to touch this porta potty. It's out of commission. There's no bottom on it, for Christ's sakes. But it is in good condition. So he goes back to the office. Hell, by then it's almost the end of the day, right? Everybody gets off about 5 o'clock at night. So he drives home and gets with the wife, gives her a little kiss, right? Have a little bit of supper, watch a little bit of TV, and he lays down to go to sleep so he can go back and do it again. Because he's got to learn about this porta potty business. Oh, he sure does. There's a lot to learn there. So he goes to sleep about dark 30. He wakes up about 7 o'clock. Hell, he only lives about 15 minutes away, right? Takes a little bird bath, gets dressed, out the door he goes. And you see all the employees get there at 8. He was a little bit early. He was. It was about 7:35, and he rolled up, and because you got a lock on the gate, the main gate. He unlocks that. Opens up this side of the gate. Opens up this side of the gate so he can drive his truck through, and all the other employees can do the same. And he just happened to look to the left-hand side of the yard there, and the porta potty's not there anymore. Oh, he's enraged. He's like, what? He walks over there to the porta potty that was up on the railroad ties, and it's not there. He's like, okay, now I know damn good and well this thing was here. I hired a frickin' locksmith to come out here and change a lock. Billy got keys for the damn thing that didn't work, and then he got a spare and that wouldn't work. I know damn good and well that porta potty was sitting over there. He's looking around, watching all these other little employees trickle in. He sees Billy at a distance, and he's like, Billy? Billy's like, yeah. He goes, what the hell happened? He turns right back around and then is sitting there again. He looks at his clock, and his clock states the exact time was 7:59 a.m. 7:59 a.m. He goes, now I know damn, he goes, Billy, listen, I need to talk to you. When I came here this morning, it was about 7:35, I look over there and the damn thing is not there. You show up, I call out your name. I just turn my head for a second. I look back over and the damn thing's sitting right there. Now listen, I know I'm not... He goes, Billy, do me a favor. I need you to contact me a security firm. Get cameras. I want cameras pointed all over the yard. I want them inside the warehouse. I want them in all the offices. I want them out here in the yard, and put 2 cameras posted at that porta potty. Oh, yes, sir, right away. Billy calls up security firm, sure does. Mm-hmm. Yep. He's going to, because he wants to figure it out too, because he's starting to wonder what the heck's going on too. I mean, he can't imagine that Jake would lie to him, but you never know. Old people, you know how it is. Security company comes out there. Boy, they put all the cameras in the warehouse and all the offices and such. They put these cameras everywhere. And you see these cameras, they're great too, because you can get up on your computer at home. You just kind of look at them and see everything that's going on. But they also got monitors inside the office too. Boy, it cost quite a bit of money, but he didn't care. Because he wants to find out what the hell is going on here. That's right. He knows damn good and well that porta potty wasn't there when he came in early in the morning, and at 7:59 exactly, suddenly it appears again. Oh, hell no. He wants to see if this is going to happen again. So, all the security cameras are in place. They go about their day, and, well, Billy, he's trying to teach them everything. And all the accounts that they have everywhere, they have all these accounts with the entertainment and the football and baseball and construction site. He's learns in them about every part and aspect of the porta potty business. And he's happy to, too. Because Billy is Jake's right-hand man. Sure is. So, hell, close of day comes, 5 o'clock. All the employees are out. He closes up the gate, locks the gate, goes home, kisses his wife, has a little bit of supper, watches a little TV. He's laying down in his bed it's about 10:30 at night. He can't quite get to sleep because that's really bugging him. He's starting to question himself. He gets up, he figured, well, not only am I going to have a snack, I'm going to get up on my laptop and I'm going to look at the yard where all the security cameras are. Sure am. That's what he does too. He gets up there and he's on his computer and he's looking at everything. Porta potty's there, right? 10:30 at night. Maybe he was just seeing things. Maybe he had a bad morning. Who knows? Who really cares? After his snack, he laid back down with his wife and such, and he finally gets off to sleep there, and alarm goes off about 7 o'clock in the morning. Gets up, takes a little bird bath, grabs a little banana, something for breakfast, out the door he goes. He shows up to the porta potty yard about 7:35. About the same time. He did that on purpose too. Sure did. Put that key in there, opens up this side of the gate, opens up the other gate, so he can drive his car through there, right? He drives through and he looks over, and that porta potty is not there. It sure isn't. It's gone. He's like, now hang on a second here. Something really goofy's going on. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out because those damn security cameras at 10:30 last night, that damn porta potty is sitting right there and he's standing where it should be and it ain't there. So he's got a hunch that chances are at 7:59 a.m. that should reappear. Right? Oh, he's kind of freaking out now. He sure is, but he's got the backup of the security cameras. All he's got to do is look at all of the feed from the night before to find out the exact time in which it disappeared. So here comes Jake. About 5 minutes to 8. Billy, come here. Billy, come here. Billy goes over. He goes, now listen. As you can see, that porta potty is not there. Billy's like, Jake, you're right. It's not there. He goes, that's the strangest damn thing I ever seen. He goes, because nobody touches that. Nobody moves it with forklift, nothing. Okay? Jake turns to Billy and says, now listen, Billy, I'm going to tell you something right now. That porta potty should show up any minute now, within a couple of minutes. So let's just stand back and let's just watch this. Make sure that, everybody else gets inside because we don't want anybody seeing this. It's our little secret. So they're just standing there waiting. They're looking at the clock. Hell, it's 7:58 right now. Tick, 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 tick. 7:59 exactly didn't show up. Couple of seconds later, poof, it just reappears. Billy's like about ready to have a heart attack. Billy's a young man too. He's only about 30. Sure is. He'd been working there a long time. He'd never seen anything like that in all his life. He's kind of shook up about it. And Jake looks like he's about to go into some sort of cold sweat and heart attack. He can't believe it either. Because he watched it when it wasn't there and then suddenly it just reappeared. But you see, he wanted to find out when it disappeared. So he looks over to Billy. He says, Billy, you just witnessed the same thing I witnessed. And I'm going to tell you something right now, Billy. You are not to tell anybody about this. You're not to tell your best friend. You're not to tell your mama. You're not to tell your wife. You're not even to tell the Lord about this. This is secret stuff right here. Billy's like, oh, not a word. Nobody believed me anyway. Jake's like, well, you got a point there. He goes, let's go inside and review the video feed to find out when that sumbitch disappeared. But, yes, sir. He goes in there and they're looking at all that and they're speeding it up. You know, I was a pain in the ass and boring as hell doing this sort of thing. They're speeding it up. They're like, now listen, Billy, last night about 10:30 I got up and got me a little snack. And I got up on the laptop computer and I saw it was sitting there. So all we got to do is start from 10:30 forward. All right, so they're sitting there speeding it up. And it's between 3 and 4 a.m. it disappears. But they need the exact time. So they're like click, 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 click. And then they're, poof, it disappears and they got to go back and get the exact time. The exact time in which it disappears is at 3:59 a.m. He writes that down. 3:59 a.m. is when it disappears. And when it reappears is 7:59 a.m. That means it's gone for 4 hours. Where does it go? It's kind of scary when you think about it, because you don't know where it goes. I mean, would you dare want to get in there and find out? Maybe, right? So, Jake is just dumbfounded. So is Billy. They're looking at these computer monitors, and they saw it disappear on the security cameras, and they saw it happen in real life, too. I tell you what, it's the strangest thing. He goes, now, Billy, are you sure Jake didn't mention anything about that? Oh, no, sir, he didn't mention nothing. All everybody knew was nobody was to touch that porta potty ever. Never. Not even to move it. And he's the only one with the key, and as you saw, it's the only key that can get in there. Like, okay. So, Jake gets to thinking, you know something? Here he's got this big old desk. He decides, you know what? I'm going to start going through every single one of these drawers. I'm going to look for every little hiding place, cubbyhole, everything. See if we can get some information on what the hell that thing is all about. He starts going through the drawers here, right? Monty's got a roll top too, and it is made of pure oak. It ain't no particle board. You know. I'm just letting you know because I know. Right. He's going through all the drawers and such. He's going through these ones. He's looking for every little nook and cranny, all the little hiding places. He's got a bunch of hiding places, right? He starts looking around. So at the bottom drawer, he finds one envelope in that bottom drawer there. It's got a bunch of papers in it, too. Hell, there's got to be 150 pages. He starts looking at them, and hell, the top page on it there says Portal Potty. Then it says 2, like T-O, a bunch of numbers. Then a little bit further down it says from, and a bunch of numbers. Billy! Billy comes racing over and he's like, what the hell you reckon this is? Look at this. Billy says, oh, those are coordinates right there. He goes, what? He goes, yeah, I can pull up those numbers on the computer and it'll tell me exactly where that's at. Really? He's like, yeah, oh yeah. So he starts looking through the pages there and Jake notices that the froms are exactly the same. They're just, hell, he goes about maybe 75 pages deep into that thing. And he looks at, yep, the froms are the same. He's looking at Billy, he just can't figure it out. But all the 2s are different. Strangest thing, I swear. He goes to the bottom page, and he looks at that, yep, all the from numbers are exactly the same, but the twos are different. Billy, do me a favor. Take these 3 pages, find out where all the twos are, and find out what the from is. Billy races off to go do that, and hell, you know what? Jake is looking for more information. There's got to be more. He's looking up underneath things, because again, this is pretty big desk you got going on here. He looks up underneath, and taped underneath where you sit at, he finds yet another envelope. He reaches in there, and there's one piece of paper in there, and it's got instructions on it. And you see there's a drawing of a piece of paper on the piece of paper that he's holding. You know, it's like a sketch. And it says, Portal Potty, right to, and in parentheses it says chords. Well, they already established that what they're looking at is the coordinates, right? Then it says right from, and then in parentheses it says chords. Okay, he's got that. Then there's another sketch on the piece of paper he's looking at of a piece of paper that is telling that once he writes that down, he's to place the piece of paper on the right-hand side of the porta potty. It's pretty descriptive too. And then there's another area here that says warning. Do not enter porta potty between the hours of 3:59 and 7:59. He doesn't understand that. Then he gets to think, you know what? He's going to do an experiment. Billy! Billy comes racing over there. He goes, Billy, listen, do me a favor. Billy, what is the closest restaurant to our shop right here? Billy's like, let's see, there's a Burger King, there's like a McDonald's. No. I want a sit-down type of restaurant. Billy's like, well, there's a Denny's about 2.5 miles away. He goes, stop what you're doing. Listen, Billy, I want you to do that. Just stop what you're doing. I want you to give me the coordinates for Denny's restaurant. Okay. So he races off and does his thing, and see, Jake's got an idea. He's going to go for a little bitty trip. He's going to have some coffee, maybe some breakfast. But he ain't going to drive to get there, you know. Billy comes back with a little piece of paper. He's got the coordinates for Denny's on it. He goes, now, Billy, listen. I know this just sounds preposterous. But you damn saw with your own eyes that porta potty disappeared on the security cameras at 3:59 a.m. And both you and I witnessed live, in person, this porta potty appearing at 7:59 a.m. Right? Oh, yeah, we sure did. Now, listen, we're going to do an experiment. I'm going to take the coordinates of Denny's, and I'm going to just follow the instructions as they are right here, and we're just going to see what happens. Now, I want you to be a witness to it, and I'm going to go for a trip and just see if it works. I mean, if it doesn't work, we'll laugh it off. But if it does work, hey, it'd be like hitting the lottery except without the money, right? So, Jake there, he wrote down on a separate piece of paper exactly what the instructions said. He wrote down Portal Potty 2. Then he wrote down the coordinates that he needed. And then the from. He wrote down the coordinates back to the shop. Now you see, just about like that. So when he placed it on the porta potty wall, it would be indeed backwards. See what I mean? This is why there was like a really translucent, smudgy type, very faint letters that were backwards because of the ink transfer of when Ike was doing it. It's just a theory, but it makes sense. So he figures that he's going to line that up. He's going to just do what the instructions said. So they go out there to the yard, and Jake unlocks the lock, and he goes, okay, well, I don't want to lock myself in because then I couldn't get out. So I'll just put this lock in my pocket. And you're going to witness it, right, Billy? And Billy, remember, nobody is to know. You can't tell your wife, your best friend. You can't tell your mom or even the Lord if this works or it doesn't. Either way. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Won't say a word. So with apprehension, Jake gets inside the Portal Potty. He's got a little bit of shake on him because he doesn't know what to expect. You know, Ike is not the type of person, his father was not the type of person to be monkeying around. If something was something, it was something. It wasn't just BS. You got me? Whew. So he's got a little bit of shake on. He's trying to match up where it says portal. He presses his hand and the paper up against the right-hand side of the Portal Potty, and the whole thing just starts to shaking, boy. I mean, it is shaking just violently. And then there's a really intense bright light. This light is so bright, matter of fact, you could see the light even if you had your eyelids closed. It was so bright you could see the light through your eyelids. That kind of bright. But it wasn't a violent bright. It was a warm bright, almost like a heavenly bright. And it just shaking and shaking and shaking, and then it stops. Jake pulls down the paper, sets it on the seat, opens the door and cracks it. He can see a bunch of cars out there. He's not on dirt anymore. That's pavement with cars parked. He opens the door all the way, and he's right there in Denny's parking lot. He's thinking, oh man, he's rubbing his eyes thinking, this just can't be. This just can't be. Now he's going to step out of it. He's going to walk all the way around it and maybe, see the sights and sounds, if you will. But he's got to hurry his ass up because Billy over there is probably worried to death about him, He doesn't know where he ran off to. He figures he ran off to Denny, but hell, Denny's miles away. He can't just get in his truck and race over to see if he's there. He's got to wait for Jake to get back. So Jake just steps down. He's got to step down quite a ways because you got to remember that porta potty is up on railroad ties for whatever reason. Strangest thing. So he gets out and he walks around. Yep, sure enough. Hell, he can see the freeway from a distance. He's scratching his head going, oh, man, this is something else. He looks up and he notices that there's cameras on top of the Denny's. And he thinks, man, he's got to hightail his ass out of there and get back to the shop because they probably got all this on film. So he gets back in the porta potty. He puts a latch up and he takes that same piece of paper because he's got to get back. He puts it up there. He lines it up to porty that where it's kind of smudged, and he presses his hand and just thing starts rocking and carrying on. That bright light comes about. And all of a sudden there's silence again. He brings the paper down. He's like, boo! Billy's like, yeah, oh man, you made it, all right. And he opens the door and Billy comes over there and starts hugging on. Get off me. Don't be hugging on me. I'm a grown man. You don't be hugging on me. Billy's just happy to see him. That's all it is. Oh boy, I tell you what, he's like, so where'd you go? Where'd you go? He goes, oh, I indeed ended up in Denny's parking lot. If I would have had a camera, I would have shot it on film to prove it to you. But I had to get out of there because I had cameras up on the roof pointing towards the parking lot. Can you imagine? He goes, Billy, this is exciting. I mean, this is we're like making history. And we can do it in secret. I mean, we can't tell anybody. You can't even tell the Lord. That's a big order. I can't tell anybody either. He goes, well, you know something? I don't know about you, Billy, but you know what's really bothering me? I want to know where this thing goes when it's all locked up at 3:59 a.m. and then returns at 7:59 a.m. Where does it go? Billy's like, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe you should get in and find out. Jake's like, well, you know what? On the instructions, it said warning in big bold letters. Here, let me go show you. So he brings him over to the office, and Jake is showing him the instructions that he found in that envelope there, and he says, okay, you see how it says to and from? Okay, look over here. It says warning, do not enter porta potty between the hours of 3:59 a.m. to 7:59 a.m. And Billy's like, well, if it says not to do it, you better not do it. Okay, because that definitely would be breaking the rules. I mean, everything has gone smoothly. You know, you made it there and back, and you're safe, and I'm glad that you're safe. And I mean, this whole thing is it's just unbelievable. But Jake, if it says warning, don't do it, maybe you shouldn't do it. I mean, those are the rules. And Jake turns to Billy and says, "What are you talking about, rules? Rules are meant to be broken. They're broken every day. Laws are meant to be followed, but they're broken every day. Everybody breaks the law sometimes. Billy, have you ever sped?" "Well, yeah, I mean, but that's different." "How is it different? Rules are meant to be broken." "Billy, I tell you what. Here, let's do this. I will give you $1,000 cash if you show up this morning at 3:30 sharp. Be here at 3:30 sharp at the yard. Because we know at 3:59 this is going to go for a ride somewhere. I don't know where. You don't know where. But I got to find out for me, Billy. I got to find out." Billy's like really reluctant. He goes, "But Jake, the paper, look, it says right here, warning. Warning usually means danger. Those are the rules. Don't break the rules, man." He goes, "What if you don't come back? Or who knows where you could go?" So Jake is like, "Okay, well, listen, I just need to know for me. I'll take full responsibility. If anything happens to me, you can show the camera feed, all the surveillance, for all the days that we've had it now. You can see that it disappears and comes back, disappears and comes back. I mean, it's not an illusion, it's not a trick, it's real. You can videotape it." He's like, okay. I'll meet you here, but you don't have to pay me $1,000. And Jake is like, "Listen, if I told you I pay $1,000, I'll pay you $1,000. I want to make it worth your while. Okay? Just be out here at 3:30 sharp. Don't be late." So close of day, Jake closes up the gates and such and goes home, kisses his wife, has some supper, watches a little TV, lays down, go to sleep, and he can't sleep. Because he's thinking to himself, "Oh man, this is so exciting, but at the same time it's kind of dangerous, you know, breaking the rules, and who cares about breaking the rules? Rules are broken every day." So it comes around that time, it's about 3:15, he walks out the door. He's got to be there at 3:30 sharp. I mean, after all, Billy's going to be there too, he hopes. So he gets there just a couple of minutes before 3:30, and waiting for him is Billy. God love him, he's right on time. So Jake gives Billy $1,000 cash. Boom, right in his hand. They walk over to the porta potty, and Jake says to Billy, "Now listen, Billy, seeing that I have to be inside of here, and it has to be locked for it to work, I'm entrusting you with the key. This is the master key to this unit. I'm entrusting you to let me back out when I get back. Will you do that?" "Well, of course I'll do that." So Billy's got the camera. He wants to videotape all of this stuff, right? They got the lights of both vehicles pointed at the porta potty. He's got a camera on it with the light there. They're going to record everything, just in case something goes wrong. So Jake opens up the lock there, gives the key, the master key, and all his other keys on the ring, to Billy, and entrusts him to let him back out when he reappears at 7:59. So he gets in, he closes the latch there, and Billy's he's kind of nervous for him because he's breaking the rules. So here it is. He's looking at the clock there. It's 3:58. Poof, disappears. Yeah, Billy gets on camera. This thing just poofing out of nowhere, right? He makes sure he gets all the cars, the date, he's got his time, everything. So he's got this all on record. He collapses his camera and such and decides he's going to himself go to Denny's and maybe have some coffee and breakfast and come back right before 8 o'clock because he's got to record him coming back. So he gets there and, it's about 10 minutes to 8. He's got about 9 minutes. So he needs to record all this. So he's standing there, he's got the video camera on him, he's got it just affixed in the area where it's supposed to reappear, and 7:59, boom, it just shows back up again. He races over there, unlocks the lock, opens the door, and Jake is not in there. How could he not be there? The damn thing was locked. There's no way to get in that unit. They already tried. They tried to break in with a drill bit and a bandsaw, right? They tried to hit it off with a hammer. How could he have gotten out? What's he going to tell his wife? What's he going to tell Betty? He's really nervous about everything. I mean, he's shaking in his shoes. So about 9:30 comes along, and he gets a call from who? Betty, his wife. Yeah. Hello? Well, this is Betty, and there's been a terrible accident. You're just not going to believe this. Not going to... What's wrong? Well, apparently... I don't know what happened. I was asleep when it happened, but apparently Jake got up this morning to go for work, and he had fallen down the stairs, and he's no longer with us. I'm Montagraph, and if you can't speak freely, you're simply not free. Have a good day.